The world often forces us into two boring choices. Be a good child, who follows every rule until you lose your identity, or be a rebel who breaks everything until you lose your way. I've been in the first position. I was called diligent, smart, and the display case of other people's expectations. But honestly, it was a prison. I realized that being a useful human isn't about how much you obey the world's bureaucracy. It's about how honest you are with your own integrity. I started choosing a different path. I began breaking rules that were too rigid, but I kept an anchor. I have moral boundaries that are non-negotiable. Why? Because a rebel without morals is just a nuisance, but a rebel with principles, that is a leader. In this video, I want to show you how to be a rebel in your own way, while keeping your intellect sharp. We'll talk about how to build a mindset that doesn't slave for validation, including when it comes to love. I'll bring perspectives from everything I've learned, from logic and AI technology to the depth of universal human values. The point is this: how to become the best version of yourself without becoming a slave to anyone's expectations. Because in the end, the validation you need most isn't from likes or a reply to your chat, but from the peace you feel when you look in the mirror and know you have a solid foundation. Most people think being a rebel is just about shouting or going against the grain, but the most lethal rebellion starts inside your head. The world is facing a crisis of focus. We are easily driven by trends because we lack a method of thinking. I want to introduce you to first principles thinking, a way of thinking where you don't just follow what people say, but you deconstruct a problem to its core logic. When you know why a rule exists, you'll know when to obey and when to have the courage to find a more efficient way. What is the role of technology in this rebellion? People often call me arrogant because I bring AI into areas considered sacred or rigid. But for me, AI isn't a threat. It's an assistant to expand our consciousness. AI has millions of years of data, but it lacks one thing: a soul. It has no moral compass. This is our job as the rebel. We use this advanced technology to accelerate research and knowledge, but we remain the masters of its moral direction. Don't be a robot controlled by an algorithm. Be a human who uses the algorithm to provide wider benefits. The final point, and the most important: sovereignty. In a hyper-connected world, we often worship validation. We feel sad if a chat isn't replied to. We crumble if a post gets no likes. That's a sign you aren't free yet. What I've learned is that internal locus of control is non-negotiable. Your happiness and self-worth must come from within. When you have a moral anchor and strong principles, you won't easily waver. You can stay relaxed, stay edgy in your work, but remain honorable because you know which boundaries can never be crossed. These three things, intellect, mastery of technology, and sovereignty, are your starting capital to be a rebel with a cause. But above all, there is one thing: if you want to be a rebel who knows where they are going. Know the ultimate truth. Never stop learning, even when you're considered old. Because for me, life isn't about who reaches the top first, but about the journey of learning to keep moving, getting closer, and finally being with the ultimate truth. I am Carita Education. The rest, let it flow while we continue to think. See you in the next journey.